over the years, I've learned that the more parents understand about their children and about how they feel, the better able they're going to be to come up with a contract. So I help navigate parents through that process and co-parent them. Coach them through the process of coming up with a solid parenting plan.
I loved your approach. Because you shared with me a little bit about how you go about doing what you do. And I feel like you help parents tap into the empathy that they need to leave the old relationship in the past and form a new relationship as co-parents. And they need that empathy so that they can think about their child's best interests and put their kids first as they are kind of navigating that new relationship.
Right. So, over the years, I've worked with, tons, over 4,000 parents one way or another. And if I had to describe or to characterize what I would see as the source of the co-parent conflict, I would say, and I said this to parents, is that instead of having, mom and dad interact with each other, what we're experiencing is two former lovers.
Yes, and I love that. Yes.
And it's the emotional legacy of that relationship that they carry into the co-parenting relationship going forward. And a big part of helping them to move forward out of that role so that they can be there for the children. A big part of that is helping them to say, okay, look, we're parents, we're co-parents, we're in a business together. We're no longer former lovers. So if we can get them to move in that space, they're going to be much more productive in designing their parenting plan.
Exactly. Kind of looking at it as their business partners.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. I love that approach. Okay. So I know that you have different elements of, I know you kind of broken it down into different elements in terms of your approach and your process. Can you describe for the listeners a little bit about the different elements that come into play in your process?
Sure. So I am a co-parent educator. I am a co-parent coach, and I am a family mediator. So those are the three different elements. Those are the three different roles that I'm going to play, and that's what I play. So I use the coaching throughout the mediation process and beyond. So I help prepare parents for the mediation process. And then we sit down and we actually conduct the mediation session, 1 to 2 to 3 sessions, whatever. And then after that, I support them as they implement the parenting agreement. And that coaching, the reality is that a lot of those issues or a lot of those behaviors and a lot of those ideas that they have before they go into mediation, they can sometimes carry out. So they're still going to need that additional support. So here's how I will describe it. I'm going to break it into 3 stage sessions. The first thing I do is I use education, co-parent education. A lot of parents, they're witnessing what they see their kids do stuff and they hear their kids say stuff, but they have no idea where it's coming from. They have no idea why it's happening.
Exactly. Kids will communicate through their behavior oftentimes.
Exactly. I use the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross model, the stages of grief, and take that and make it the emotional stages of divorce for kids. And what you will see is that most kids mimic each of those stages. So that's a really powerful way of educating parents, bringing the education that they'll need so that they'll know exactly what's going on with their kids. And in support of that, I also post, I write blogs, post them on my website and other sites online, because the more information, knowledge is power. I'll tell you this, that, and I've used this with parents too, that, for the ones who tend to disregard this education process, but they're stressed out and say, well, kind of think of it as if the doctor has told you that you have this really terminal illness. Once you go out and find out exactly what it looks like and what your options are for addressing it, you have more power. You feel more power. That's the exact same thing. That's the exact reason why we need to understand what's going on with the kids. So that education piece is really important. And the second part is to prepare parents for literally the logistics of the mediation process. I do offer a pre-mediation session. And as I explained earlier, during that pre-mediation session, that's where we're going to really get into the emotions that underlie any conflict that they have with the co-parent. Now, I'm not a therapist. Really important to say. So I'm not in the helping profession as you would define therapy, but I am in the role of helping parents to understand the process. So we will use 3 different steps to prepare them, for the mediation process. So the first thing we have to do is literally to address the emotions. Get the parents grounded so that they're focusing on the children. This is called empathizing. What parents don't understand is that their responsibility is not to empathize with each other, but to empathize with the children.
Exactly. That's how you put the kids first. That's
putting the kids first is to say, I don't want to use a lot of profanity, but I can focus. I can have my conversation focus on hating the co-parent, or I can have my conversation focused on loving the kids.
Yes, you have to love your kids more than you hate your ex.
You have to love, exactly. And that is so important because a lot of people, you only have so much energy in a day. So you can focus on the co-parent, which is going to wear you out and make you less able to focus on the kids. And that's where we need to be. So that would be the first stage, to get them to empathize. Now, this is what we need to get parents, to help parents to design the best parenting plan. And then we get very specific. That's the design stage. And I ask parents very specifically, and they have an opportunity to do this before they come to session. What is it that you want? You're building a contract. What elements do you want to have contained in your contract? Every county has some very specific components that have to be in your contract. That's a given. But what else do you want to see? And to do that, I ask parents to kind of do a child audit. Watch your child. What does their day look like? And then you talk about what you can do to support that. It's a fairly concrete stage of the plan. And then we get to the ideate stage, the creative stage. So now we know what we want. The question is, what do you want it to look like? Parents get hung up on the, I want this, I want this, I want this. Well, I'm not going to give you this. And it's okay. Well, let's go back. You say you want your child to get, a good sound, night of sleep before they go to school, because that's so important. And Jake has to have that rest. All right. And the other parent says, I want to be more flexible with that. I may go back to the first parent and say, let's talk about what that looks like. What does a sound night's sleep look like to you? What time should it start? What time should it end? And a lot of times when parents can draw out, when they can, share more and explore more about what their proposal actually looks like, because it is a proposal, then the more able the other parent is to look at it and to decide, hey, and a lot of times the second parent will say, oh, okay, so that's what you're talking about. I get it. So that's the ideate stage. That's the creative part of the getting prepared for your parenting, your mediation session. And then it's really just the logistics, how to make proposals. When I have my parents make proposal in the mediation process, I ask them to make sure that your proposal, what you want to have, it contains a who, what, when, and where. Let's be very specific. The opposite parent, the co-parent, can say, I don't agree with that. Well, that's not good enough for me. If you don't agree, then what's your counter proposal?